Yeah, it's been odd about
There's
this.
still ducks in Danville.
We're gonna open the November 1st, 2023 select board meeting. Adjustments to the agenda. I have one. Tori's here tonight to explain briefly about a grant. Deadline is November 15th, so we needed to add it to the agenda. It has to do with wastewater. Okay, approve the minutes of October 18th. We have a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
We still muted up there?
Computer's freezing up a little bit, but it's going as far as I can tell.
So do we have any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Comments from the community?
Sorry, someone was joining me.
Hearing none, I don't. We had a speaker who wanted to come in at 6:10. We are way ahead of time. Maybe I'll let Tori speak.
So as Linda mentioned, there's a grant application through the Agency of Commerce and Community Development, Community Recovery and Revitalization Program. That was previously a rolling application. The deadline is now November 15th, but it could cover up 20% of the wastewater project cost. And so we're looking for a letter of support to be signed by the select board for this application, as well as authorization for Linda to sign any documents related to the application on behalf of the town.
I typed up a letter pending your approval. You want to read it, or are you okay, or?
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
I just would like to look at it. No.
So, yeah. So this is funding while we're waiting. This is funding in addition to what we received. We received about 350,000 for our pilot study, I believe. The state has given us 2,500,000 as a grant that we need to use. It's ARPA funds by 2026. And we've applied for, I don't know, through the Clean Water Fund for two years in a row for 125,000. And so we wanted to apply for this also. We're trying really hard to get, so we don't have to bond for very much money. Try to get as much grant money as we can and to keep the user fee affordable for people. So can I have a motion, if there's no further questions, authorizing me to sign,
What was the amount up to this grant?
It's 20% of the total project cost. So this would be for 800,000, which is about 2/3 of the remaining gap in funding.
I'll make a motion that we accept this.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to send a letter of support for the grant and to allow the town to apply for it. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Thank you.
Thanks.
You need the letter now?
Is it?
Yeah.
I'll take it now if everyone can sign it.
I just. So I see we have Peter on the line.
Hello, everyone.
This is Peter Danforth asked to speak to us from the Lamoille County Conservation District about river debris river cleanup.
Yes, so yeah, I'm Peter Danforth with the Lamoille County Conservation District, and we are interested in helping different towns within the county to do river cleanup in the next season. And Wolcott, I know had a huge impact from the last flood, and perhaps you've done some work already, but I've been kind of interacting with the state and the DEC deputy commissioner about the need for doing more work with towns in our county. And basically, I'm just here tonight to say that we can, provide a helping hand in any future cleanups. I guess what I would like to know is just sort of as we go forward, where the real need is and how much funding that may require. And I can talk to the state and see what can happen. We got some funding out of the blue from the Vermont Community Foundation to cover some man hours, for work that we did in Cambridge, and enough probably to do some more work in Wolcott or wherever else we can, provide our services. And so I'm just here tonight to say that we are here as a resource to you in future cleanup events. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, do you do something on May Day, correct, usually, or?
May Day? No.
No, okay.
Oh,
that's someone-
Green Up Day, Green Up Day.
Cleanup Day, yeah. And then we also do a lot of cleans of September, which is usually what a lot of the different districts will do, but we can do it any time of year. But I just wanted to let you know that we exist and we're here to help. And we can have a connection with the state to see what kind of resources are available, because I know there's easy stuff to pick up, with garbage bags and whatnot. We can do a paddle and whatnot. I work with the the paddle group, as well as the Vermont River Conservancy. So we have lots of partners we can kind of include in this. But I think what I want to know tonight or in the future is just where the real need is and what kind of resources you will require to do that cleanup. So I'm basically saying we're available, and let us know. And if there's anything you can say tonight in regard to those questions, I'm all ears.
So cleanup, is that, well, there's the wood material debris, and then there's a lot of other stuff, that
So-
came down from people's yards.
Yeah, not really wood debris. Wood debris is basically, for the most part, you leave as is, depending on the material. If it's pressure treated or some kind of established, wood that's not natural to the environment, like not a tree or whatnot, then that's another thing altogether. But garbage, essentially artificial materials that are, and the last cleanup we did, there's a lot of tires, and a lot of junk bottles, etc. But I know that after the flood, you had issues, of course, with buildings being washed in, and so there must be a lot, and there must be particular segments and reaches of the river that are really impacted. And I guess what I'd like to know is what the town's interest is and what focus what would they like to see done? And I can bring that attention to the state in order to find the right resources to do that cleanup.
Gordon?
See,
You know, has anybody, just throwing a question out there, has anybody in any kind of official capacity, gone down, up and down the river, just taking a look, taking an inventory of, the damage on the riverbanks and the amount of debris that's been left? If not, I wonder if it would be worth, if the Lamar County Conservation Commission, and funding sources you have, you might pay for somebody to just do that kind of assessment and inventory and give us in the town an idea of what's there and an assessment of what it would take to restore it to pre-flood, to its pre-flood status.
yeah, so no, that'd be great. And that's a question I would bring again to the DC to say what kind of what's available to us to do that kind of work. I mean, we have a little bit of funding, but not much. And that's, I think, an assessment, as you're saying, of where the real need is would be really important before they were able to decide on what kind of funding for next year would be available. And so you're exactly right, as assessment should be done. And I was wondering, I'm asking right now, if anything has been done. It sounds like maybe it hasn't. And if it hasn't, we could potentially be able to help with that.
Yeah, Linda, on behalf of the litter committee, Andy Duff, who is a member for the last 2 years, has a group organized. They go down the river on May 5th and do an assessment. And then later in the year, when the water warms up, then they will pick up trash and garbage, tires from the river, and take that to our land or our transfer station. And in the past, Andy has gotten a grant from the solid waste district to cover that expense.
Yeah, that's how we've worked as well. We've in Cambridge anyways, we get those mini grants from the solid waste district to dispose. But it sounds like, potentially there could be things that are more unmanageable, may require more resources, and that's kind of why an assessment may be a good thing to do. And Linda, maybe you could provide me the contacts to the groups that were just mentioned.
Right.
So I can begin that conversation and bring it to the, deputy commissioner of the DC, to the top, and see what can be done perhaps in the next season.
So I've walked a lot on the rail trail, which runs along the river. And you can see, there's a big metal tank down in there. There are a bunch of, and you must see it, don't you walk on the rail trail?
Yeah, Peter, this is Kurt Billings.
Hi, Kurt.
I would say from School Street here in Wolcott to the Corley Road, which is headed towards Morrisville. That's the main corridor that needs to be cleaned. There's a lot of stuff
Right.
that I took care of as far as tires, but there's some that are still in the water that I don't want to go into and get. I mean, I've taken out like 12 tires already in the state have taken care of for us.
Yeah, large debris, that has to be contracted.
But
And-
there's like
yeah.
55-gallon drums,
Yeah.
so forth and so on, but that stretch for about a mile and a quarter should be looked at. The rest is pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, so again, we're just here. I want to hear what the needs are. I'd like to be connected with the people that do this every year, and I can provide information that we discover with them and bring it to the state, like bring it to the, big up high, so to speak, and see what we can do resource wise. Because I know that after the flood, the governor was reaching out to all the towns, right? It's like, what can we do? And of course, we all have limited resources. So, unless they know exactly what it is we need to do, sometimes it's hard to manage these things, right? So as a conservation district, I feel like we're in a good position to help kind of be the intermediary for that, you know what I mean? And help you all. So if I can get the information and the people I need to talk to, and do an assessment, I think we could come up with something.
Great. I think as a town, we've been so overwhelmed with just our infrastructure that we haven't had time to really think about it, to tell you the truth.
Exactly. Which is where we come in.
Yeah.
And Linda, you know that.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
So
we're
we'll get you that information. I have all your contact stuff.
okay. That's great. And then I will begin the process with my contacts at the state and just see what we can come up with for next year. And hopefully it'll be a little bit more resources than, maybe they're used to for the situation.
Great. Well, thank you for the offer.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yep. Thanks.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.
If anyone has any other observations, I mean, I guess we can gather them and funnel them through to Peter. So let me know. So we're gonna open the bids for the town garage. As you know, they had an ad in the paper with no one who responded. One of the sticking point, the sticking point was the time frame. Everyone's busy, carpenters to get work done. So then Michael kind of reached out to a bunch of carpenters, construction companies to see if they could get them to bid. And Michael said that he was going to bid and excuse himself from the select board, just due to the lack of our getting any bids. So we have two bids tonight. We have Michael's and we have site above carpentry, which I will have to excuse myself because it's my son-in-law who I reached out to him and asked him to bid, and Michael is going to have to excuse himself from the discussion also. So I guess I'm going to turn it over to you three. You have the bids in front of you.
I guess the one with Pardee, Michael.
Hmm.
It's just, I don't see it over all total cost.
Correct. I was going to buy materials on the tax-free basis. And the number at the bottom is the labor cost not to exceed.
Right. Where the other person gave us a total. And yours is already above that. So.
Well, make sure you read through. It's not always about the money.
No.
It's
I
about
do,
what they're gonna do, too. So Kurt Billings, would you lead this discussion and this vote? Seeing as we are not part of it. Please.
What is your preference, gentlemen?
So perusing there.
Oh, no. Did you get out the binoculars or the microscope?
No, I think my 4 eyes are good enough, just.
It's gonna be, how long would it, what's the lead time for the materials? For the, for your bid,
There wasn't any.
there isn't any?
The tin that I planned on using was in stock at Pool.
Any questions, Richard, you see?
No, I'm just trying to figure it out. I just, trying to compare the two and it's.
Where's that? I don't like it when the numbers don't add up.
Yeah, time is a critical factor on this, isn't it?
Does it really, I put it this way. The bottom part of the walls are not insulated. We're paying for the heating. This gentleman says slightly above says the 11th, they'll be sprayed. We're only talking a week,
Yeah,
and I don't know, when would. the
but it
person
also
you have
says
in
it's
mind-
a 3 to 4 week lead time on material.
If as long as it's insulated, that's better than nothing.
Yeah,
When would you have a person in there? spraying?
I would be around the same time.
So. I look at it, they could still be in there working. Just means they won't be able to wash inside.
yeah.
That's the only thing I can see for a difference. And then we're only talking a month. And it's not all that cold yet. It's not like we're in January and February.
Now, you don't have any lead time involved in materials, do you?
Trade plywood and the tin is in stock.
I think what's with this slightly above, he's gonna get it sealed, insulated, but I think he's trying to get 3 or 4 weeks so we can finish up other projects. It's my,
Yeah, well, it says 3 or 4
No, I'll
week lead
tell
on
you, we
receiving.
had a hard time getting,
yes,
roofing metal, but it came into. I think it's because he can't guarantee. When it's here, that's.
right.
If I can speak to something on that. Generally speaking, get custom length ordered, sheets of metal, you're within 2 or 3 weeks generally. My plan to avoid that was to use Poolins. They stock 10-foot sheets and have those cut. I would just cut those myself. That's how I avoided the lead time. With,
What is their studying over there? Have you looked at 2 foot?
but with a plywood solid backer. I mean, I hate to continue to talk if I'm not supposed to. I know I'm supposed to be not involved in this.
Well, my only suggestion, if it was me doing this,
Well, wait, can you just
is
decide on who you're getting? And
what we're going to have to pay and what's going to be.
One statement that stands out for me is a 3 to 4 week lead on receiving material. And you don't have that problem.
No. I'd like to do something that maybe is a little unorthodox. I would like to, now that there is some other interest, to me, the bid looks good. He's got a spray foamer lined up for a date that's acceptable. I'd like to retract my bid. Simplify this decision-making process. I was doing it because the town needed it. Certainly wasn't a favor to anybody. It just was doing it because there wasn't any interest. I like this bid. It's a better price than I can offer. And, as a taxpayer, I think we should go.
That's damn honorable of you.
Well, that, and it eases my schedule a little. I have enough things going on. It's not completely selfless.
No, but fair.
It's a good bid. The date, to me, the dates look good. The price looks good.
The 3 to 4 weeks, I have no problem with, but I would make one suggestion to this person. I mean, you can go to Home Depot, you can get 8, 10, 12, 14 and 16 foot already in stock. You don't have to mess around.
Well, and what I might do. Now that I don't have a bid, what I may do is I may reach out to this person and offer. I have a bunch of metal cutting tools. If we can buy the 10-foot pieces, I'm happy to cut those into whatever height he wants. And try to avoid that lead time so that he can kind of work smoothly. I can do that in the basement at night. And
I still think you would want to go at least 3 to 3.5 foot, no matter what. That's usually what you get for coverage on a standard sheet anyway.
Yeah, and I had offered to Woodland Carpentry, Scott Adams, had he sent something. I also have a metal brake so that we can bend, the custom trim that has to go over it. I would be happy to let Jeremy use that as well.
Well, I guess I'll make the motion that we accept the site above carpentry bid.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So passed. If there's also someone, I can get hold of brakes, depending sheet metal also,
Awesome.
and it can go up.
Yeah, see, mine's 10 foot and it's a lighter gauge, so we may end up going your way. But either way, I think it's a great bid. I really do.
Yeah. At least they'd be warm.
Yeah. And like you said, we're talking a week or two.
Okay. Thing is, Gordon's here. We'll do the forest committee. Roger?
Great.
We'll bring up the forest committee budget, which I made a copy for everyone.
It'd be pretty straightforward. Happy to answer any questions you have. We're asking for $3,500. So, town budgets, select board budgets. A variety of things.
So my one thing was the website development, which I think is a little confusing because we have a town website. So what development would that be for? Are you
So
planning to have your own website?
I think we should probably have a, well-designed town forest page accessible on the town website. Having a professional designer to work on it and at least give us a template to do something with. That's what I have in mind. I have not done any, research looking at. I haven't had any discussions about who maintains the town website, et cetera. I know the school district and the OSSU has got a full-time employee that's been revamping all of the school websites. The amount is kind of a placeholder, but I would like to be able to have a professional at least provide guidance. My intention is that, and this is, stating myself, that community committee members will back this up. I think that now that it's becoming a reality, it looks very much on track to become a reality. To have some decent publicity and have some places where people come for information. To be able to have brochures that are available here in the town office, and to have that backed up with a website. It takes money to do these things in a nice way. And the numbers that I put in there are an estimated budget, not necessarily based on getting bids for specific things. But I think we need to be able to spend money in all of those areas and hence I put them in as line items.
Well, presently, we have hired a professional, I believe. And we are paying him to redo our town website with ARPA funds. I wonder if that would fall under that. In that way, we would not need to raise taxpayers' money to do that. We could use our ARPA funds, and you could work with him and see.
Happy to do so.
Would you be
Yeah.
open to that? Would you be open to maybe having a conversation with him ahead of our final approval of our select board's budget to make sure that, you know, you two can,
Absolutely, we're just not really aware that that was an option.
right?
Yeah.
Thank you. Again, I can make the introduction. We engaged several months ago. And things went on hold during the flood. But there is a model up already. And just put it on hold. We were identifying November 1st to get things back up. This individual's local, he lives in Wolcott. He's definitely a professional. And I think adding a page is not going to be difficult, not going to be difficult.
Great. Yeah, fantastic. I don't mind, I guess I'd like to keep something, you know, keep a line item there, but, yeah, you know, or we can mention website development under one of the other line items. And if it can all be paid for, via ARPA, no problem with that.
Well, I don't want to raise taxpayers' money if we don't need to, by keeping it in there. I don't, just my opinion, not theirs. But, you know, the other ones are great. That's why I was thinking that if you had a conversation with Bradley now, make sure that what your ideas and how it could work, you know, if you think it could work, that we would take that $500 out. And the town would pay for that through the ARPA funds. If it's something you don't think it's gonna work, you have until, you know, mid-January to come decide that and come back is all I'm saying. But
Okay.
I only like to raise taxes for what we need. Not something that is a placeholder, sorry.
It is sounding like there's significant overlap with what's available and what our immediate needs would be as the new town forest. But I think we'll do a little bit of brainstorming and kind of see with Bradley. And we'll see what functionality we think would be helpful for new people to navigate to the new trail system.
Right.
And I don't think that there, at least in my mind, can't think of anything that's super fancy or super expensive that necessarily would demand a special expenditure. But I guess Bradley would know better than any of us.
Yeah, if you had a link that went off to another page that had your maps and your everything, you know, that's kind of what I envisioned, that, you know.
Some kind of schedule, you know,
Yeah.
so people can see when there are events happening.
So if you want to work with Kurt and then, you know, talk with Bradley and.
Yeah, so I'll send you the existing new website. You can kind of knock around with it. And yeah, do you know Bradley?
Yeah, I met him a couple of times.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, he gets insight and can fix things or create things within hours.
That's us.
yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm happy to revise budgets and plan to have website development funded, you know, through another source.
So we'll just hold that. I mean, that, you know, all these budgets, we don't approve them now. We just file and then mid-January, we vote to approve it. And so we have time to go back and forth and add or whatever, as long as communication's open, that we know what's going on.
Sounds good.
Great. Thank you.
I noticed that there's an action item around trail planning.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up and see if the board would allow me to change the agenda to take up the forest trail planning management. Seeing as Gordon is here and he's the one that requested it in a way. that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay,
You want me to say a couple words about it?
yeah, explain why it's on the agenda. I brought the charter just to spell out, where it says there'll be a separate trails committee that will work with the planning commission on trail design and maintenance. When this was written in April of 22, things have evolved a little differently, and so, Gordon would like to have the board make a recommendation to maybe amend this, or I'll let you speak on it.
Well, the concern I have, is that as the town forest, as a whole process with the town forest got underway, Kate Warner from Trust for Public Land worked with the town planning commission and submitted the application for the VOREC grant. Kind of was one of the first things that happened. And so, information I have from Hayden Smith at Trust for Public Land, it just kind of in the rush of getting things going, they submitted this grant. There may have been a time limit on it or something. And so they got a $200,000 grant roughly to do a bunch of work on the future town forest that, was still completely to be determined. It gives us a lot of money for building trails, for putting in parking lots and kiosks, and especially for making a trail from the school down to the ball field. When they wrote the grants, the recipients of the grant money are Trust for Public Land and Town of Wolcott, the Wolcott Select Board. And the grant specifies that for trail building decisions, the contact point would be the trail building committee or trail committee of the town. So when the town forest charter was drafted, there was this discussion, the language in the charter specifies a separate trail committee. The language in the grant specifies a separate committee. The trail committee doesn't exist, but Trust for Public Land and Sinuosity, the contractors, the trail building contractors, are engaging in discussions, especially Sinuosity is looking for representation from the town around decisions around changing the trail coming down from the school in light of the flood, changing the location of the trail, like that. And again, the party that they're named party that they're supposed to work with is the trail committee. We don't have one. We have a forest committee. So my suggestion would be that it's the forest committee and the select board, and the select board obviously is the ultimate decision maker for the town. I think that Sinuosity and Trust for Public Land essentially need to have one voice speaking for the town. They need to know who to talk to as a single point of contact for the town for decision making around or just discussions around the changes that they're proposing relative to the flood. And with respect to the town forest, approval of a conceptual plan for the 5 miles of trails that they have a grant and the grant funding to build. I would like the select board to appoint the town forest committee as the spokesperson for managing the trail building grant.
So in short, it's a change in name from a committee that doesn't exist to a committee that does exist.
Yeah, basically.
Or just combine the names, Forest and Trail Committee.
And it kind of, so. Yeah, it adds clarity too. This hasn't been clarity, who to go to, who's in charge, who makes the decisions. I mean, we make the decisions at the end, but we don't get into the weeds. And they just needed some clarity.
Mariah from Sinuosity has asked a couple of times, when is a trail committee going to be formed? There's part of it is that they'll be looking for volunteers to get educated about trail maintenance and possibly even to help with the trail construction. But for the decision-making process and the question of who approves the conceptual design. You know, the forest committee has reviewed it, has had lots of discussions about trail locations. And what to do on different parts of the lands and so forth. And it's kind of natural that, in my mind anyway, it's natural. We've educated ourselves about it. We should be the identified decision maker. And answer that question from Mariah so she knows who to talk to. So, you know, in terms of the technicalities of what, you know, do we need to amend the charter? Do we need to go back to Vorik and change terms of the plan or something else? I'm not certain, you know, I can't advise you on that. That's kind of a legal matter, I suppose, in terms of the paperwork. But I don't think it needs to be complicated. I think, you know, Linda, if you were to let Mariah and Kate know that it was discussed here in the select board meeting and you guys came to a decision.
Yeah, as long as it's in the minutes,
Takes care of
if
it.
it's in the minutes. I don't think we need to go through all that other stuff. Do we have any other questions of Gordon? Do you have any thoughts? How are you feeling about it? Does it make sense? You've been on the committee, Kurt. Does it make sense?
It makes a lot more sense to do this and just have it as the forest committee and then they know who the people are. 16 people that would come up and say, yeah. Be more generalized for the whole town population rather than 4 of us or 5 of us or 3 on the select board.
I'll make a motion that, in lieu of the fact that, there is no official trails committee. That the select board appoint the Wolcott Community Forest Committee as the point person for trails discussion, design and maintenance in the future.
I'll second that motion.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Fantastic.
Streamline the process and help us in our timetable.
Right. I saw through emails, there's a lot of confusion.
If we get out. So that's your agenda. Yeah, thanks you guys.
Lister's budget. We have a copy on our desk here.
Their budget is about the same as last year. Actually, we were thinking that it could probably be $200 less out of office expense. Not sure that we need that full amount. And so yeah, it's the proposed budget then would be $25,200.
Is that taking out, I know there's been discussion about taking out the copiers from budgets. Does that take it out?
Because we didn't know if the copier would come out. It's not a lot. I think it's maybe, you know, $10-12 a month or something for the copier in the Lister office, and we didn't put in a 3% increase either, because of course that's up to the board whether that would change, but otherwise, I think this is just to let the board know that we don't foresee any big changes coming up for the listers.
I wondered if, you know, after I looked at this, about if you could submit a, separate E911 budget.
You don't have any.
I know. We need to create one because I was thinking all the signs have been ordered, ARPA funds. And then in our ordinance, which we haven't dealt with, it says that we need to come up with a plan on how in the future we're going to purchase the signs and put them up and all that sort of thing. So I was curious, once this ARPA funds are gone, you know, how many signs do people request a year? In a post? I mean, are there many? Is it big? I'm just thinking out loud, you know, just a new cost to us that I would hate to see absorbed by the listers.
Well, there is still a fee for a permit
Uh-huh.
to get a sign, and that's $25. So the $25 fees that are being collected now, I don't know where the money goes.
Well, everything just goes into the general
Yeah.
fund. I mean, it doesn't offset a person's budget. It offsets the whole tax rate.
So right, so if the fee was going to go to offsetting the cost of purchasing future signs or posts,
Mhm.
yeah, I guess that decision have to be made.
Sounds like you need to set up a separate line budget item.
Well, if you're gonna have an expense, you know, you should have a line item for it. You're gonna have an expense, even though you're gonna have an income for it. It offsets each other, but you should show it.
Right, instead of it going into the general fund, it should be now put into a separate line budget. So-
Well, we don't do that. We just, if you look at the end, we just have all the revenues. You know, we don't have like zoning. Most of that money that covers zoning, a lot of it comes in through the permits, but it just goes as revenue at the end and it offsets everything. If someone was really looking and knew how to read a budget, they could go in and see, you know, oh, well, you know, zoning permits. We had $3,500 in it, you know. And they, you know, could see that, but
Still would be interesting to cost out that 911 stuff.
I'm just curious of how many you think that,
Yeah, what's the average build rate, you know, because once the signs are installed, how many more, I mean, unless they're mutilated by snowplows, which you guys are doing a really good job of avoiding that kind of placement. You know, nobody's gonna be looking for a replacement sign. It's gonna be mostly new signs, I would think.
Or new subdivisions.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, but, technically, everything needs to have a sign, you know, even the cemetery. You know, the utilities, you know, if they have a little shack or, you know, something, you know, that gets a 911. Sugar house, if someone puts up a garage, well, not necessarily a garage, in this instance.
It's on its own lot.
Yeah. So.
Sugar houses,
yeah, they want it because it catches on fire.
it's flammable, but how many people are gonna call up and go, my sugar house is on fire?
You know, I don't argue with the state 911 people about that stuff.
It's sort of crazy. It's a structure, but it's,
You know,
am I gonna call you up and say, hey, guys, I need one for my chicken coop?
I don't argue about the cemetery either. You know, how many people are gonna drop dead in the cemetery, but, you know.
People are dying to get.
Yeah, they would drop dead. I've seen
Yeah, but
heart attacks.
It's a fairly quiet neighborhood.
No, there's been heart attacks in a cemetery.
Oh, yeah.
But just out of curiosity, I mean, we're talking about what, 2 dozen?
12
Yeah.
Here, I don't know.
Yeah. And then, I mean, ballpark of cost, what's a sign, a post, and how long does it take Bob to put one in?
Well, it doesn't take long to put in. It's just a couple of minutes. But yeah, how much are these big signs? Are they $20?
I don't know, I have all the invoices at home, I could, shoot it to you, I just wondered if you could just.
Yeah, I mean, if,
Something quick.
if we're talking about $100 a year, I don't know if it's, but I mean, if we're talking about more than that. I was.
No, I don't think so, but it's an expense,
I almost think if you got something like 500 or more a year,
no, we won't have 500.
who knows how much growth there's gonna be. But I'm just saying, if it's 500 or more, I think it should be pulled out. If it isn't, forget it.
It wouldn't
Just,
be that.
just go into the general revenue and we'll take it from there.
So right here, July to October 10th. Income, E911 signs, so it's $100, so that's 4. Right there.
Yeah, so it would, I mean, it may not make that 500 threshold, but certainly it's gonna be enough where. I think it would be worth tracking.
Especially if we're gonna have to start doing cemeteries, and there's a lot of them.
Anything that could be separately. I mean, I haven't read the ordinance in full, but
I mean, sugar houses,
if there could be an event there that would require a 911, we should have a sign. I would think.
especially if they decide to start going out and finding things.
Well, we're not doing that.
No, but I mean,
We're requiring people. But, if someone is getting a permit for a sugar house, then we say, well, yeah, you have 911 number as well.
that's a big sugar house. Cause anything it's over 100 square feet is the requirement.
Dreesen got her.
A big sugar house.
That is a big sugar house. That isn't.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna do the planning and zoning. Yes. So Tom has been sick, he's not coming in. He basically said he was level funding, he didn't do anything in writing. He hasn't been in for a couple days. Tom?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
You're gonna present your budget?
Yeah, I sent you email on it. It's pretty much just level funding.
So he did send everyone an email,
Yeah.
The increase in permits are reflected with the increase of expenses related to them. I expect things to slow down this winter, but pick up again in the spring. With that in mind, I recommend to level fund the zoning budget for next year. So that amount is, so that total for planning and zoning was $12,125. Anything else you want to say or any questions you have for Tom? Not, we'll move on, thank you.
Okay,
We'll move on to the select board budget planning. I think Kurt wants to make a presentation.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I just wanted to take a couple of minutes and plant the seed into the future. One of the things that's become very apparent to me over time, because I have been participating in it, is the concept of a town administrator. Our towns, Hyde Park, Johnson, and 36 other towns are in competition now to hire town administrators. Johnson has hired one. They hired a recruiter, do a nationwide search to bring in a professional. And they're this particular individuals at 32 hours a week, which may be problematic for them over years, but that obviously they're trying to stay away from the expense of the benefits on that. Regardless, what I wanted to kind of project is looking way into the future, 5 years in the future, 7 years in the future. And you think about a select board and what a select board in the future might look like. And hopefully it would be made up of professionals, people that have families, people that have careers, people that don't have lots of time to work the operation, the town operation. The way that Wolcott operates, and my experience with Wolcott operating, is that one, Linda puts in, I don't know, 80 hours a week, every week. It's all volunteer, 100% volunteer. She eats it, sleeps it, everything. And I don't think go 5 years down the road, you would expect that we're going to have another select board member that's going to do the same thing. So I just think that that's a baseline. The second thing is that the town office and the town office in the past have picked up a lot of different activities and parts. And I think going forward, when we look into that the expectation should be that the town clerk will do the four corners of the job. And that's it. And we shouldn't expect anything more. It would be great to have more, but that's not the way it's working now. And it's probably not the way it's going to work in the future. So if you take those two components away, you end up with a role called town administrator. Now, this is a job that I've done on an interim basis, and I've learned a great deal about it. I've learned so much about it that it actually broke me, made me sick, made me angry, made me leave the board. So that's how intense this job can be. If you look at the operational detail of a town like Wolcott, with the demands that are coming in from the state, the financial demands that come in, the amount of funding that can be generated through grants and so forth, it takes a focused, organized, professional individual to do that. And it's everything from relationships to procurement to committee oversight. Right now, we have committees. Linda makes sure that those committees do what they're supposed to do. They do agendas and that they do minutes and so forth. That has to be instituted within the job of town administrators. It does that kind of thing. Oversees emergency management, which failed us miserably during the flood. The health department has to be supported. Fire board has to be supported. And then there's all of the details, contract negotiation, procurement, the whole IT side, the project side, website development, FEMA and insurance, which has just become overwhelming. And then there's highway administration. And one of the realities of the town is that I believe we have an excellent road crew that does a superb job. But where they do fall down is on management and administration. There quite literally is none. And, looking forward, it's really, and as I watch the guys work every day, I come in every day and look at their schedule and what they need to do. We have a 3-man road crew that really should be a 4-man road crew. We can't afford a 4-man road crew. So the administration and the oversight of the details can come from a town administrator. So the other 2 categories are listing and zoning, town office, and both of those are elected and they stand alone. So the actual operation of the town, the day-to-day, how it works and what we can rely on is going to fall under that big black box in the middle. And I just wanted to plant the seed. Select board budgets are usually done at the end, but I did want to point out this one line item. In terms of budget. And I'd like to propose to the board that they think about what this could cost and what we need. The average town is spending between $80,000 and $100,000 on this role. It's a professional role, full-time job, nationwide recruitment, going to universities and so forth, get the right people. My experience is it can't be a part-time job. It can't be an ad hoc job. That's what I do. Where responsibilities fall through the cracks. And left hand and right hand are not always certain. It needs to become compact, organized, and addressed. And so I know we've been talking about 911 signs and this and that, but I just thought I'd throw out $100,000 requirement and need. And just wanted to pass it along. On that, if I could just jump into my project management.
Well, can we ask a question? So how do you envision that we get to that place? Because we need to get there soon. Because I'm fading.
Yeah. Correct. And the way to get there is I'm fading too. And the way I see it is this would be if we can pass this kind of investment, it would come into play in July of next year. It would take 6 to 8 months to find the right person and another couple of months to train that person. So it's a year out. It's a year out easily. So we can start recruiting earlier, but yeah, if you don't have a budget to pay for it.
Right.
Just a quick note on math. I see the last page is the only job ad I've seen that has numbers for where is this, Hyde Park? We're talking about a $3 million budget with 3,000 people. Talking about 32 hours between 65 and 75,000. They've got double the budget, almost double the budget, double the population. You're talking about less. I'm just curious. I mean, I know the 100,000 is a big lofty.
That's a well, yeah, in their case, it's a part-time job. So there's no benefits, there's no overhead costs.
And our needs at half the population. You've done the role, Kurt. You know.
I'm really leery of it being a part-time job.
Yeah, it's not a part-time job.
We're thinking of
Not
it,
even 40 hours.
we're thinking of it kind of as like a town manager, because you gotta have someone there. all the time, do it.
All the time. Yeah. There's been town managers and
It's a charter difference, I think it was. The charter.
But a charter, town manager and town administrator. Town manager has much more autonomy. Their select board gives the town manager decision-making powers.
The administrative one is when the select board controls them correctly, right?
Yes. And with a charter, you have even more autonomy in which the including the town office and the town clerk can be appointed as opposed to being elected. So a whole lot more control if you have a charter, town manager, a lot of autonomy. I think what we, and by the way, a town manager is very, very expensive. Morrisville is the one right now. My personal feeling is a full-time town administrator is what we need.
And why, I'm still just stuck on the numbers. What makes our needs greater? Is it because of the growth and all of the different moving pieces we have here? Or is it because we don't have automation in the systems? You know, as far as community oversight goes. But that's a bad example, but like highway admin, I agree, that's kind of an avenue I know a little about. We don't have the commissioner role anymore. There's nobody that's doing this. There's not nobody. There's not somebody whose sole position is the grant writing and the planning and the prioritizing.
Right.
A foreman can be a lot of places, but it can't be everywhere.
Right.
So is it a lack of, what makes our need greater? Is it a lack of organization on these smaller roles, or is it the growth that we are expecting in our?
No, we have the same pressures as Johnson or Morrisville or Hyde Park. We have the same pressures, but we do not have the personnel to help us navigate it all. It's the same.
Mhm.
It's just because we're smaller and our population smaller, doesn't mean we don't have to follow the same regulations and do the same things that those other towns are doing.
Fair.
Now, maybe like the health officer might not get as many calls, or the dog person might not get as many calls, but we have the same exact pressures put on us. And I would say that Johnson has 32, but they hired Randall, and he's doing their grants. So they've separated that job out. He's like, Randall's gonna be doing their grants and their community development stuff. And then the town administrator is gonna do the management part in Johnson, and they've always had it like that. They like that separation.
And I think the other difference is the need for book management. Yeah. Like I say, we really should have four people on the road crew. And the alternative here is to incorporate it into the town administrator's job. Which is, you gotta be there every day, you gotta watch everything that's going on. It's definitely a full-time job.
But if you need a new person, you need a new truck, you need a new bay, it's like new uniforms, it's like.
And that's all they do is that one role. They leave all these other boxes unchecked. If we were to hire a fourth road crew, they would only be.
Right, you would hire a road manager or.
Right. A road manager like
Or
Mooresville.
a commissioner or something.
Yeah.
At probably what, I don't know, 40,000-50,000.
And still leave all of these.
All the less undone.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Could I comment?
Yeah.
So Kurt mentioned, he made a comment, and I don't want it to go unnoticed, about the hope that there's a hope that in the future that there will be other people on the select board that may have families and may not have the time. And he also emphasized the amount of work that certain members of the select board are doing outside because they just happen to not have other job responsibilities. It seems unfair to put that type of workload on the select board members.
I would agree. I mean, I think it's impractical, and I think, again, looking forward, you should look at the, just keep the minimum expectation. A good town administrator will prep the select board, so the select board should be able to come into any meeting, look at an agenda, and have been briefed on that agenda. They know what's coming. They know what the issues are, the materials are there for them, etc. And that's really the function of the select board, is to, they're there to manage the money, and they're there to make decisions based on information that's collected by the town administrator and others. And I'm always a bit leery of volunteers, because volunteers, you can only take so much. So you can break down.
We tend to rely on them to do more and more, and it gets huge to the
It's out of
point.
control,
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I personally love the idea of having a point of contact, a place, this word here, the organizational chart. I love the concept of that. The reason I asked the question about the numbers and about the things, and I really appreciate your answer on that about the needs being the same, is that $100,000 line item for a new position in the town when we already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 dozen people. I think that'll be a hard sell on a budget. And I just want to make sure that the presentation for that doesn't fall flat. I want to make sure that the sale of that, the presentation includes the reasons why we.
The question is, if, as the board considers this, would this be something that would go to the town vote as opposed to a budget projection?
No, I think we've already hashed out over and over hiring administrator. And we had one, and we had some money. It didn't work out, and then you stepped in. But that hasn't gone away just because we haven't hired someone. I mean, at what level? That's a discussion too.
My thing is, I think you make a pretty good sale at 60 to 70,000 a year. By that, maybe some of this, like you have HR. I don't think that the handyman, fire, health, all that, they could still report to the select board every other week.
Well, some of them might, but
Well,
Some
some
of
of them
you have
don't need to, but I'm just saying, if they come in, that would eliminate some of the headache.
yeah,
And as far as I can see it, what was the other one I saw?
not all these things are pressing all the time.
But I'm just saying, some of the,
Not always working on
in the-
all of them all the time.
right, but I mean, that would take a lot of the load off.
Hmm.
Because I think I would rather personally see someone who's on the health, the fire board and that come in and personally talk to us.
They haven't done it in years.
And they haven't done it, but they should.
So
Yeah,
could
I
I
like-
ask? So when does this begin?
Should
It
begin
sounds
right
like,
now.
let's make it happen.
Well, we
Yay.
don't have the money.
To make them
Where
come
do-
in? No, to make them,
Yeah, that, yeah.
if
mean,
it's
for
a good
those to come
idea,
in.
then make it happen.
It's just a matter of when Linda or whoever's gonna do the agenda, just contact these people, email, voicemail, whatever, and say, hey,
I think, I think it's a good idea. But let me give you an example of our handyman. This is one of the busiest jobs that you have overseeing a handyman is looking for the next handyman. Really, seriously, it's happened over and over and over again. It's a full-time job. But on a day-to-day basis, the handyman needs direction. You have to walk in here at 8 o'clock in the morning and say, okay, what are we doing today? If you're not, they're gonna do whatever they're gonna do. And it's very inefficient.
well, I hate to say it, but where I work, I have tickets. This is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
We prioritize them, red, yellow, green. So if this person has now a list of things he's got to do and prioritized, that's all you need.
Who writes the tickets, though? I mean, in this case, it would be,
Well, I
it would be
mean,
town admin, town clerk. I mean, who are we gonna push that on?
They got 36 things on the handyman's list right now. And they gotta remind them every day that there's 30.
it shouldn't be, then,
Shouldn't, doesn't help.
no, but I'm just saying, then it's a person that shouldn't be there.
Yeah, that's why you're always looking for the new one.
I mean, I'm given responsibilities, I fulfill them. That's me, but if you got someone that's not that good at fulfilling your needs or our needs,
It's
Then they're
not a
gone.
high commitment job.
no, but I'm just saying.
Well, and
If you're supposed to shovel the walkway every day or make sure it's shoveled,
well, and I'm at the rate that we're. Not that it's no money, but at the rate that we're paying, keep in mind, I could quit my day job. I could go to work at McDonald's and I would gross more. I would net more. I would take more money home. Working at McDonald's flipping burgers, I'd be inside, I wouldn't have to deal with any of this. So at what's the handyman make? 23, 25, somewhere in there. You're not necessarily going to find a self-starter, self-motivated, organized, prioritizing. You're going to find somebody that walks through the door and goes, "What do you want to do today, Bob?" And I know because I employ two of them. They're wonderful guys. They do everything they're told to do, but they're not going to come up with the schedule. So if you want somebody that does that, then our line item on handyman salary needs to go up. It's the unfortunate world that we're living in. As far as having the manager, the health department, the fire ward, having these people come in and report to us in the short term, if there's a need, sure, have them come in here. But in the long term, I personally would hate to muddy the waters and have the town admin covering 16 of these and then having two other people cover two other ones. For me, it's all or nothing. If we're going to have a single point of contact as a board, have a single point of contact, then let them do all of it. And they will decide when and what we need to look at. I just feel like it will be smoother and more efficient, and these meetings won't be 2 hours long.
Yeah.
Which might be easier to find people to join the board because, Linda, you do a wonderful job, but you've said tonight you're fading. Big shoes to fill. And I look around and I don't mean to cast any dispersions, but it's not a young crowd in this room. Sorry, Richard.
Well, that's all right. I'll be 80 on February 3rd.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
So I just, again, you're talking 5 years down the road. What does it look like 5 years down the road? Are you still going to be doing this part-time?
No.
Right.
No.
So are you still going to be volunteering your 80 hours a week?
That's why we bring it up, man.
Yeah. Everything moves at the speed of bureaucracy. I appreciate the heads up here.
No, I mean, I guess, but my thought for myself is, we get somebody on board in July, and cover it until that time, and then cover it for a period of time after that as a transition. And then I'm gonna go back to retiring where I started from 6 years ago.
So if whatever we decide on for a budget, if it's voter approved in March, we can advertise, even though it doesn't start till July, there will be no money till July, but we can start that process because we've been approved.
Yeah, join the
I
36
really
other
like the
towns.
idea that. I mean, it sounds excessive for a little town, but going out and getting a professional recruiter. And I'm literally recruiting nationwide. I mean, this is how LCPC finds people.
Well, my only concern is if it's gonna be anything like border patrol, don't take someone from Mexico and send them up here. It ain't gonna work.
For a town administrator.
Yeah, because they're gonna find out, they're gonna freeze and they're gonna go back.
Oh.
That's why it doesn't work on border patrol.
Well, we may,
And you're already into it.
love and find one that works, but
Right.
No, but I'm just saying, if you don't find them in the Northeast, forget it.
it's 2023. If they can't Google what the weather is, we don't want them anyway.
No, this is what happens with border patrol.
I
You
know,
know what the turnover is?
it's incredibly high. It's high with most.
Because that's what happens.
It's recruiting in universities, professional organizations, people that are educated in municipal management. The real thing, get the real thing. Because if you don't get the real thing, it's not worth doing. Nothing but a headache. Nothing.
Funniest thing I noticed. Working for municipality 10 years, you can bring anyone you want with a college degree. It doesn't matter how much, unless they've worked in a town. It doesn't matter if you have a degree or not. You have to learn it from the ground up. It makes no difference if you recruit from this state or that state. Because that's the big thing. It doesn't matter. You gotta have the experience doing it to actually know it.
Right.
What you need is someone who's organized, time management, those are the key, that all the other stuff can go,
Yeah,
and
you have to have the personality trait. That's really the key thing.
I actually read an interesting thing about management in an employee retention pamphlet I was reading anyway. They said that there was a correlation between people who use Excel, like Microsoft Excel proficiently, and their ability to lead people. There's a study that's trying to link those two qualities. It was an incredible, it was an interesting thing. I don't know why I thought that I needed to share that, but anyway.
Yeah, that lets me out. I looked over my wife's shoulder when she was learning all that.
Yeah.
So my objective tonight is just to plant the seed. Throw it out there. And I think when you're thinking about the budget ongoing, this is a big chunk, big number.
Probably would be better. If you're gonna go cheap, I don't think you're gonna find anyone that's gonna do it either.
No.
It's gonna have to be reasonable. 70, I think's on the low end if you're gonna get someone to come up here and do it.
Somebody with no experience.
Even with no experience, get them to come up here with a college degree.
Right.
You're talking 80 to 100.
I don't care if they have experience. They just have to be organized and time management and have an organized brain. Because too many people don't.
And really good. And good communicators.
Yeah.
Really good.
Right.
And there's certain fundamental traits in a good manager. There's about 10 of them. If you can find someone with all 10 of those, to call them.
All right,
So, just for the project manager, I just wanted to start with the work that's going to be done over at the garage. So my question is, who is going to manage that? I have not met this individual, maybe I have, I didn't on site. And there's a spec that's out there. This individual is gonna need somebody's gonna have to walk in with them and say, here we are. And explain it to the guys what we're doing and so forth. So my question is that a job that I should pick up at this point? Or do you want to continue?
Can I get back to you tomorrow? I would like to talk to this guy just one time.
Yep.
See what level of work he's looking for. If it's a daily morning check-in, I can't be available for that.
Right, and I can do that, yeah.
If it's a weekly pat on the back, it looks great, I can manage that. So let me reach out to him now that he's got it.
So I did take him there
Okay.
and the fire station and measured. The road crew was there. He did have questions, but I couldn't answer them. I told him to direct them to you.
Okay, I haven't heard anything from him. I'll reach
Right.
tomorrow.
Yeah, so we can stay in close touch with this, so I know when they're starting. You know, the classic management issue is you get a contractor in like this, they walk in, you got 3 road guys there that all have their own opinion on something else, or they're made an assumption about something. And you have to get them all together and say, okay, this is what we're doing. Otherwise, you know the problem.
Well, he has the RFP.
And as long as he sticks to his, what he has written here. I really think it'll be a low oversight thing for him. He sounds like he's got his ducks.
I mean, hopefully it's fresh when you bring them, they did it, yeah.
The only, I will say, I'll be quick, the only question I had was if you have to remove those toilets, they have to be put in by a certified plumber back in. I don't think you could, can you put them back in? That was my question.
You don't need a certified plumber.
It's my understanding that you can set a water closet without having.
Public building.
We're not moving any.
Oh.
We're not moving any fixtures or anything.
Oh, no. In our church, we had to get a certified plumber
So
as a public building.
I might be wrong about that then.
Yeah, I know we did have to and pay a lot of money.
It would be worth looking into that.
That was my only question I couldn't answer.
I wonder if, not to add a 37th thing to the handyman's list, but being that he's an employee of the town, could he set them and be exempt from? I don't know.
No.
We have, I can't think of the name for the heating in the town hall.
Lloyd.
Are these certified?
Yeah, they might have.
They would be certified.
Better be, putting in the, yes, they're electricians and plumbers, certified.
That's the only ones I know of in this area.
Right, we won't waste any more time on this. That's just a question I couldn't answer and I didn't know.
So, as far as the FEMA claims are going, it's moving along. It's moving along pretty smoothly. FEMA is walking us through this step by step. And so you kind of don't know where the next step is. They say, do this part, and then this part, and do this part. So I think we're on track. We're on target with all of that. The last step with FEMA was that they divided all of our line items on road issues and put them into projects. So now we have 6 projects. So it all got collapsed to 6 projects. One project now is 100% complete, which means that FEMA is asking me now to go and, get the invoices, the photos, go out and measure the dimensions, et cetera, put that information to them, and they'll move it on from there. So the reimbursement from FEMA is going to come project by project. As far as our VLCT insurance is going, that also is going smoothly and fairly quickly. We did get a $50,000 which I believe has been received. And they are also ready to start closing out the garage. And what I'd like to do is that the next meeting, or with maybe through email in the meantime, is send a purchasing request out to the board and just let you know what the road crew says we gotta have it, you know, when we gotta have it, and to get authorization to move the purchasing line. This is another thing a town administrator, nobody else, you know, they're busy on the road, they're not out there shopping for, you know, this, that's. As far as culverts go and finishing up our sections, we have 4 culverts left. School Street culvert, looks like we can gonna be able to get that in. And the Town Hill culvert, that one is going to go in. And the Foss Road culvert may be late because it's 6 foot, so it's gonna take 4 weeks to get it. If we don't have it in time, we're gonna have to fill with gravel and get through the winter with gravel. So that's all I got on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I had a couple questions. I wondered how we were coming on the air exchanger. Were you able to find anything? Air exchanger?
Yeah, yes, I have. There's a company in Burlington that'll come out. Really, I was waiting for, you know, step 1 to happen, which is to refurbish the building, and then have them come in. There are commercial products and there's consumer products. Commercial products, you know, look to be, they're costly, they can be costly. But if I was to bring in a professional, look at it.
You think it's that we shouldn't wait though, because in case there's like a delay, like in getting one or getting it installed, just like, I'm just feeling burnt, like with our plumber, our garage door, you know, it's like you order it and then it's months down the road before they'll even.
I can get a hold of these folks and have them come over. Yeah, they probably won't want to put anything in until the reconstruction.
Yeah, that's fine. I hope it's gonna be done, you know, by Thanksgiving or so. But that way, at least, you know, they're scheduled and, you know, they can say, well, it'll take 6 weeks or something.
Yeah.
Is there like a quick solution, as if it's gotta be engineered? If the meantime, small they could use,
Oh, yeah, you can get a residential units, just put them in there.
something temporarily until you get a proper engineer.
This is a air exchange, you mean? Air exchange?
An air exchange system.
Yeah. They have never had one. They can wait a couple more weeks. That's what I was thinking, because there's no mold in there anymore.
No, it's, you know,
It's,
it's okay. I mean, the only thing that bothers me now is I'd love to be able to have somebody come in and just completely power wash the floor of the garage, because that is still floods and
did you look at that back window? You take a look at that window when you look out back by where their room is for your supplies.
I didn't look directly at it, but I know the one you mean.
Put a curtain on it, forget about it.
I don't think a curtain's thick enough.
They're in there foaming, you know what to do.
Yeah.
And the other quick question was, Bo and Cody started working on the bridge today on Elmer Pond Road. hopefully they're done by the end of the week. But, they have the machine there to take that debris out.
Mhm.
Do we need them to come over to School Street and put a bid on to take this debris out while they've got the machine here?
Yeah, absolutely,
So I could ask Lucian to ask them.
absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
I mean, I won't let them do it unless they give us a bid. It was $2,800 for the other one.
For the ponder. Yeah. Well, we still have a debris pile on School Street.
Yeah,
I can't get the state to move on.
right. So that's why I was thinking today. They got the machine, they're right there. Maybe they'd give us a bid for that.
It's the same guys that are pulling the wood out of the bridge. Nobody's gonna pull it back.
Great, thank you. Flood loan, Belinda hasn't heard from the SBA, so there's no more information to share. She's been filling out forms and sending information on that. I assume with our $50,000 from their insurance, we're holding our own with cash flow.
Yeah, we
For
should be.
the time being. VLCT insurance uninsured motorist coverage, I'm not sure what that is.
That was a form that Belinda had received from VLCT. It was a choice, like, do you want plan A, do you want plan B? And so it was a decision that Belinda wasn't sure she wanted to make on her own, and so I think it's just something that, it's a form that you can forward to the boards, you can take a look at it.
Right,
I think what they're trying to find out is, like, if Richard went over and took the small truck.
I'm tempted.
But our insurance didn't cover it. So do we cover uninsured person? Or do we add them to our insurance list?
would be great if she could email it to us so we
Yeah.
know
Yeah, I mean, it could be.
what's going on, yeah.
Yeah, it was
Could be.
uninsured or underinsured.
It could be somebody that gets into an accident that has no insurance.
Right, that's what I'm saying, is it?
So I don't know what's covered.
Town report planning,
That was something else that Belinda had suggested come before the board. I think that was prompted by the fact that she has started receiving requests for appropriations. And just thought maybe if the board had an idea of how to approach planning for the upcoming town report. Those are things that could, go to that.
well, we should plan for it, I just cannot even put anything more on my plate, I don't even want to think about it. If somebody else wants to think about it,
Yeah, I mean,
I just can't.
I can. Yeah, it can be done, I can do it, and I can have Deb's help. I'll volunteer
Does she want to? She did a wonderful job last
her. I
year.
always get this.
We were supposed to do it together and she did it all. I was so
That's not
happy.
true.
That's the best group project.
Oh, you did some?
I do.
Okay.
Not only are you voluntold, now you're thrown under the bus. Ow. Be a long car ride home, Kurt.
Be a long walk home.
And I was enthusiastic about doing the rail trail. Then we got flooded and no one's on the rail trail and I'd hate to waste it this year for that. I don't know. You can think of what you want.
I think that there's a process of a system of laying out the town report.
Yeah, but what is the theme?
Yeah, gotta come up with some ideas, yeah.
So
no.
Linda,
Well,
I've been on the rail trail a few times. It's actually kind of busy.
It is busy, but the excitement of all seasons and family and everything. I wanted to, the governor was gonna come, we could have
Oh,
pictures of
right.
him and the opening of it, and we were gonna have a little garden party in our, that all just kind of went down the tubes.
Uh-huh.
We could memorialize the flood. I don't know.
No.
Stay away from that.
Yeah, we know.
But remember, these town reports go back to the beginning, and I used to go through them for years and see what went on, but whatever. Whatever. Come up with something exciting. Unless someone else on the board wants to do it. It is our responsibility.
I'd be willing to pitch in, but I would need direction.
Yeah, I'm happy to,
She's got
put some ideas together and,
That's what we ought to do the next Wednesday. Come in and have suggestions.
Oh,
Good homework.
okay. Can put it on the agenda. PTO request for bottle drive on, when is that? December?
Oh, last year they had a bottle drive. It was benefit of what?
Well, this is for the school.
I know what parent teacher organizations, but they did one last year, didn't they?
Yeah, they have quite a very active group, and they put on a lot of activities. They had a tractor trunk and a haunted Halloween through the woods for Halloween. They put on family dances up there at the school, lots of different activities.
I'd say I definitely would make a motion to accept that.
But where are they gonna do it?
In our transfer station.
Oh,
Your yard.
Is that what it
You
is?
can do it like Dorian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that we can,
Transfer
Yeah.
station last year,
right,
very successful. They took a trailer up there for one weekend.
yeah,
And, and then we coordinated that with the society that, up there. Worked out perfectly,
yeah.
no problem.
So Richard approved it. Most of us did too.
Do it on my front lawn. I don't care.
Errors and omissions.
Yes, the listeners have submitted, a form. We had to make a change, for Comcast. We had assessed them $39,643 for some of their equipment. When in fact, it's, the assessment is supposed to be $54. And so to explain, listers, in Vermont do not assess, the, telephone
Utilities, yeah.
lines and equipment, whatever it is that utilities have. That's just not in our wheelhouse. And so we always rely upon the forms that the utilities send us, which we did. And so we have been charging Comcast an amount similar to this $39,000 amount for several years. And they had a person working for them who took a look at this and pointed out that the $39,643 assessed value is for, whatever this thing is throughout the entire state of Vermont, not just Wolcott. Wolcott's portion is $54. And so, yeah, it's, you know, it's, the class is equipment head end. Yeah, whatever that is. And so, just, you know, because utilities are not something that we as listers typically deal with, or but we don't deal with. We always have our district advisor look over how we've interpreted the paperwork that we've received from utilities. And she's, you know, authorized this, yep, right on, that's it. And so when Comcast brought this to our attention and we took it to our district advisor, at first he was going to challenge it, but then I was like, oh, I see. So I say this in our defense, that it wasn't, you know, something that was readily apparent. It's just looking at forms that were not generated by us for things that we don't even know what they are. And so, but nonetheless, it's a mistake that needs to be corrected. So there you have
Thank you.
it.
You need a motion?
Yes.
Make a motion that we accept the errors and omissions on Comcast Cable LLC. Changing the value from $39,643 to $54.
I'll second that motion.
Those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried.
Thank you. We'll look elsewhere.
Town hall heating, electrical issues. I think most of the issues are resolved. The only thing is we have to have that gas in. They came Wednesday and Lloyd to look at it, to make sure they were ordering all the right pieces and brought that up. So they're going to install it November 7th to 10th.
Yeah.
We've added 4 electrical plugs into the town hall. I emailed the ballet and told them if they had any heaters, they could bring them. I'm not gonna call Lloyd's again.
So with the warrants, we've placed the order for the propane. We showed them the location. And so I told them about the earlier date, November date. So I'll follow up with them again tomorrow. Share.
Great, thanks. But hopefully that will be done. It is cold in there though. You were in there too.
It's faster. Yeah, it was, yeah, the heat's in the pants, girls. It's faster.
But they don't have any clothes on.
Yeah, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't the Bahamas in there, but it was not uncomfortable.
Ballet and snowsuits would be interesting.
I had a couple updates for the board. I told you about the bridge starting. One is, I just wondered about your feelings. Tammy Westover came last week about the buyout. I've been talking with the state a bunch about it. One of my concerns was it's in current use. I wasn't sure if that would qualify. How she would get out of the lien for that. All he said was it need to be settled post-award during the implementation phase. I'm not sure what that means. They say that they don't generally, so it's 40 acres. But only a small, since the building is just outside of the FEMA 100-year zone, it would probably fit into the state program. But usually a lot of acreage, might not push her up to the top. Says we do not have any cap on acreage, though if a parcel has a lot of acreage outside of a flood zone, that might limit how high it scores by our project review committee. I need to ask the board whether they want me to move forward with this. How are you feeling?
Is there any way she can break the homestead? Is the way I want to put it, the homestead where the house is, that area?
So she's got what, 40 acres?
Yeah,
40 acres.
So the 2-acre home site.
Yeah. Is it possible to break that out from the rest?
Well, that's how we assess. You know, we have a different
So
value.
that way they could take the homestead out and then she could still have the rest.
I don't know how the subdivision would work and still meet. And still meet our codes there. I don't know if she would be able to break that.
Well, I mean, it's the only way she's gonna be able to go through with the program, I would think.
Yeah, because the rest of the.
Because the
land is-
rest is higher up.
Right, but she doesn't have the limit. Actually, I don't know what it is in this district, what the road frontage requirement is here, but
it's
if you,
600 feet. Damn.
not in the down, not on.
She don't even have that.
But that's what I'm thinking. I mean, if you take her, because the immediate parcel that the house is on and abuts us here. Is 6 acres. If she wanted to offload the 6 acres. She doesn't have any road frontage. She's got no way to access. It would be a landlocked parcel on the other side of the rail trail. As how.
Well, it has access.
But it has to be a certain,
Yeah, it would, you couldn't subdivide that. Probably. She basically owns from. the-
You mean this roadway doesn't go to her?
Well, our road ends. Well, no, this roadway does connect to her, so she owns. The sugar makers.
Mhm.
So that was another thing. The other positive is if the town owned, it, because it reverts to the town. It would be an excellent connection to the forest.
Trail and that.
Forest.
and a river walk, you've got all that river frontage. I mean, it would be a beautiful asset for the town.
So it sounds like you'd like me to continue to pursue this. That's
I
what-
think
I
if you
just
could-
want to get,
I think if you could just break the homestead away. If that's possible.
well, it's all up to the state, so I'll have to ask them.
Ask me if she could do that.
I will. All right, so I will continue my investigation with the state and I will meet with her. There's a form she has to fill out. I just wanted to get your okay.
How would Kate from the forest, Kate from the person at the forest stuff, think about that? But is that all that forest? Was there other, if it doesn't? Or
I
somehow
have
it
not
doesn't,
talked to her because I wanted to talk to you first.
because if the state doesn't, maybe she might know. For the some financing, maybe it would cover it,
Yeah,
because they already have the forest anyways.
Right.
so they would pay her, that's a good idea. So her value is 242,000 and that's all she would get. For that, they pay that appraised value of the home. So maybe Kate would, I will reach out to that,
For us, and then,
yeah. Not even have to go
because
through
that
that,
would make almost another, if the building was removed, that would make us a nice parking area.
I thought about that too.
Yes,
It connects right on.
That house is what, 125 years old or more?
And it's in good shape.
Yeah, I don't know that we need a 40-acre chunk for a parking lot, though. 6 acres would be enough.
No, but I mean,
Forest.
the houses.
Yeah.
just where the house is, if you put that 2 to 3 acre bottom, it's just fairly flat.
That's a nice gravel parking lot.
Yeah. And
Okay, so I will get you some more answers. I attended the Transportation Advisory Committee today, and it was pretty interesting. It was on, they talked about Hyde Park had this salt training. Well, Hyde Park is making brine instead of salt.
you don't want it.
Well, I asked that. I said, brine is awful. I've heard it ruins your cars and corrodes and everything. And
It's more efficient than running your cars off them.
well, what they said was in the beginning, when the state started 10 years ago, they had all kinds of stuff in there. That
They decided to put molasses in.
yeah, well-
And the molasses stuck it to your car, so if you
Right.
didn't go to the car wash the next day, it was like taking your car
Yeah.
and putting it in the seawater.
so it got a really bad name, but now they don't do any of that. It's straight water and salt. Anyway, Hyde Park is making brine. And Cambridge and Johnson have a mutual agreement with them and they come and get it too. It's really cut down on their salt use. It's only the liquid and the salt. They claim there's no extra wear and tear on cars. And it's very effective because it can work immediately. The salt bounces off roads, but this is liquid and it just sits on there. If you put it on before it freezes, then you get it doesn't freeze up. There's a real decrease in your salt budget. It's like a 3-year payback. Anyway, I wanted to share that as food for thought.
Do they have any numbers on what their budget was and what it is now?
I'm not at this meeting, but I'm sure I could call Ron and ask him. I mean, Cambridge and Johnson, if they must feel that it's worth it if they're doing it. Cambridge has a top-notch road foreman.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's gonna be a little expensive, buy a sprayer, the tank.
3 years. Anyway, it's just food for thought. We don't, it's getting late. I can get you more information if you want or not, but I'm just letting you know what other towns are doing and where they're leaning to.
Compare it to what our budget is and what the equipment is.
It's all for me.
You said that was Hyde Park that's making it.
Hyde Park's making it.
Do you mind if I reach out to Mark?
No,
I'll see if I can't get just 3 years or 5 years of data on what their
And what their prior consumption was.
so they make it and they store it just like we store our chloride. We store the chloride for Elmore in our big tank, and then we buy it in more bulk, but
I believe those are people about their consumption.
you know, it was an overview. No one from Hyde Park or Cambridge well, the Cambridge road foreman is there, but Johnson, so it was an overview. For me.
I can see them on asphalt, but I don't know about dirt.
No, we don't put salt on dirt anyway,
now they salt the sand just to keep it so it doesn't chunk up in the.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So it doesn't qualify. How much paved road? do you have?
North Wolcott Road, School Street.
Downhill sections.
Starts at
You're only probably
Town
talking
Hill.
what,
East Elmore, I mean, on,
if that,
East Hill.
I mean, if we only got 12 miles.
Well, everyone's still awake when I make the motion that we
Yes,
adjourn.
I'm waiting, Richard.
No.
I'll second Richard.
God dog. It just seems like maybe.
This Arizona missions a copy.